Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, Ron, I really appreciate you and all the events that you host are always informative, and we appreciate you having us on. Thank you, Joe, for the great opener. I'm going to start with definitions, right? Joe mentioned we've got a lot of acronyms, new acronyms with AI. And so we'll start with some of the definitions we're seeing in the field and some of the ways uh, uh, AI is being described and so forth, and get you familiar with some of the nuances around AI in general. And then I'm going to go into how it works. It's important to know kind of a background on how it works and some of its history. And then I'll dive even deeper and get into some use cases. And then I thought the end would be a really good way to end would be best practices. No matter what technology you're using, what your base platforms are as you start to adopt AI in your organizations and in your enterprise, some of these best practices need to be kept in mind. So I'll go through some of that. So just a real quick cap of in terms of AI for cybersecurity defined. Joe hit on a few of these topics, but I'll get into some additional ones here. Which AI for cybersecurity is the use of machine learning algorithms, right, to analyze and correlate event as well as cyber threats and data across multiple sources. This turns this data, or AI turns this data into real clear and actionable insights, right? That security professionals need to use for further investigation, response, reporting. And so let's just say, a cyber attack meets a certain criteria defined by a security team. AI can automate the response and isolate the affected assets. Now, generative AI takes this a whole bunch of steps further, right? By producing original natural language text. It also can produce images and other context based on patterns in existing data to basically further enhance cybersecurity. So this is really powerful, right? One of the ways that I've been using AI in my cyber day-to-day activities is, I work quite a bit with SIEM capabilities, security incident event management systems, massive platforms correlating massive amounts of data. And all these, SIEMs have been in the market for a super long time now, probably about 20 years now. And they really are reliant on SPL, or search processing languages that are proprietary to certain SIEMs. Ours relies on KQL. That's gone away. Suddenly we can ask our SIEMs in natural language and get results back, which is extremely exciting in the industry. So now, just like Joe had mentioned in terms of prompt engineering, we still need to know what to ask it, right? And how to ask it. So that expertise is not going away. It's not taking jobs, but it's making jobs so much more efficient and faster, right? Write me a KQL to respond to XYZ security threats that's in the wild right now. And we can do that, creating automated responses and so forth. So let me get to the next slide here in terms of the evolution of AI and cybersecurity, because it's not new. We've been during the late 1980s, security community started using AI for cybersecurity, right? Initially, security teams used rule-based systems to trigger alerts based on parameters they defined. In the early 2000s, machine learning made a significant advances, and which this allowed operation teams to really understand typical traffic patterns and use actions across organizations. And this helped them to identify and respond when something unusual happens. Been doing that since the 2000s. The latest improvement in AI is generative AI, and this creates a new content based on the structure of your existing data. Right, so people can interact with these systems using natural language, as I just kind of described, and deep dive into very specific questions without using various query languages. Now, this isn't, it's not just security teams, right, that are using AI. Unfortunately, our cyber attackers are, whether they're nation state actors, large criminal enterprises, even hacker, script kiddie and individuals, they're also exploiting AI to their advantage, right? So bad actors are infecting AI systems. They're using AI to impersonate legitimate people. We're seeing they're using it to automate their cyber attacks, as well as deploy AI to help research and identify cyber attack targets. So there's also a risk that people will paste sensitive data, for example, into AI prompts and have that data accidentally leak to the public, right? I look at it like back in the day when we started using cloud services outside of our boundaries, and we had men and women, in certain places that are sensitive, to make their jobs easier. They're sending their documents out in Box or in Google Drive. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was outside of their boundary to make life easier so they could work from home. So yeah, we've got to make sure, and I'll cover some of that in my best practices later on, but really making sure your data is kept in check, and you have a mature data security process, zero trust model for securing your data deployed within your organization as we start to adopt these new technologies. Now, the impact of generative AI as an emerging technology, it promises to revolutionize cybersecurity, right? And its ability to synthesize data, create human readable reports, also answer questions in natural language or graphics, can really simplify things for analysts. Now, we can also provide actionable recommendations and insights. So generative AI can guide incident investigations and improve incident response. So when an anomaly is detected, it can not only let you know it's there with the little red blinky lights that go bump in the night, but it could also say, hey, you might want to deploy multi-factor authentication. God forbid, hopefully you're doing that, but multi-factor authentication on these sensitive users, or you might want to add an additional encryption to the data that this person's suddenly accessing from outside the organization and so forth. The security community builds generative AI into security products and solutions. So this is going to be really important that we build it responsibly. So people need to know that these new systems, they respect privacy, they're reliable, and they're safe. So we have a whole bunch of initiatives around Microsoft that are geared towards that, spending millions upon billions of dollars around those initiatives. And accuracy and truthfulness are known issues, right? And so we need to make sure that the current generative AI models continuously improve that, as well as help organizations stay ahead of the AI-driven attacks, right? So I'll get into more about that in a little bit in terms of some of the privacy concerns and all that, and around best practices as well there. How AI for cybersecurity works, right? I mentioned I was going to kind of go over how it all kind of comes together. It's important to understand that cybersecurity in AI is evaluating massive amounts of data across multiple data sources, right, to identify patterns of activity, such as when people are signed in, traffic volumes, are the devices and cloud apps that they're using compliant? Are they patched? Once it understands what's typical, it can identify anomalous behavior that might, need to be investigated. So to maintain privacy, an organization's data, isn't used for the AI output at another organization. Let me say that again. To maintain privacy with Microsoft's AI models, right? It's very important, and this should be important with any AI that you're using in your organization, that the outputs do not go outside your organization. Instead, the AI is fed by global threat intelligence that's synthesized from multiple organizations, and we use that to help other organizations kind of recognize those patterns. And also, when new threats get developed in real time, the AI can respond accordingly and protect our customers and the world for that matter. So people are still vitally important to cybersecurity, but AI is helping increase their skills and identify these threats faster. All right, so moving ahead, there's been a tremendous advances in AI as a frontier and as a science, and in the past few years, this has largely been a result of exponential growth in terms of available compute as well as data and scientific breakthroughs. So the real power of AI comes with its real ability to generalize, right, across multiple domains, applications, where a single model can be trained on a more generalized set of capabilities. So it is then able to perform those tasks over data formats that are completely different to what it was initially trained on. So it can extend to perform other tasks with very minimal effort without requiring a completely new investment. To Ron's point, integrating those best of breed technologies and really move across data sets and integrate those data sets very easily. So it's very exciting in terms of IT integration and simplification and cost savings. So like a human analyst can understand patterns across different security sensors and tools and generate insights about the attack kill chain, and AI systems are also now able to basically provide that end-to-end capability and understand behavioral cross-domain telemetry across our security sensors to form a holistic and contextual understanding, right, of adversary activities and disrupt them in real time. So this is game changing in terms of being hugely valuable to counter adversarial adversary activities, and we can find ways to evade certain systems. But even though they might be able to get through certain security controls, they can't hide from all the vantage points, right? So moreover, these advancements eliminate the need for structured data and can perform complex reasoning over raw security logs, and can respond to task-based prompting and provide the ability to very quickly adapt to new threat vectors I had mentioned. All right, let's jump over to the next slide here. In terms of the future, understanding the foundational models, in terms of the future of AI, we really need to make sure that the models are flexible and reusable, and that they can really be applied to just about any domain or industry or task, right? So the foundational models are at the heart of many of the latest breakthroughs, and these models have been very influential in the development of artificial intelligence systems and have really played a major role in changing how AI systems are constructed since their introduction around 2018. It's funny, a lot, AI has been in the news quite a bit lately, getting a lot of attention, and a lot of our customers are asking us about AI, and they they own some of our capabilities that has AI built into it already. And sometimes I'll just open up their console with them and I'll show them that's AI. That's AI developing that automation workflow. It's taken a snapshot of your normal user behaviors, and if you look at user behavior analytics, for example, in Sentinel or some of the Defender capabilities, it's there. You guys are using it already, right? It's really the newer the generative AI capabilities now that I think are getting a lot of the buzz, because it's a whole nother frontier. And AI security use cases, are super important. And the most common ones, include identity attacks and intrusions in real time, and automated threat detection and response, as well as prioritizing and triaging alerts. And so let's dig into some of those use cases like right now. Let's start. I guess we'll start with identity management. Identity management is, it's an essential part of cybersecurity, right? So AI is used to, identify and block suspicious activity automatically, which can really help protect sensitive data, right, in systems. For example, we can analyze patterns in user sign-in behavior, right, to detect and surface anomalous activities. And we can also enforce the two-factor authentication or password resets, or certain conditions are met, which adds an extra layer of security. And then finally, if there's a reason to believe that an account has been compromised, maybe there's some lateral movement detected or behavior patterns detected where there's past the hash activities and those sorts of things. AI can block the user from signing in altogether. So overall, AI really helps security professionals, manage the access and ensure only authorized personnel can get the right data at the right time for the right purpose. So that's being used, and not just at the front door, right? All throughout a user's interaction in your ecosystem, because those conditions can change as they're operating in your ecosystem. The other one, is AI for endpoint security and management, which can help organizations keep their devices secure, right? So AI is currently helping identify all the endpoints being used within the organization to keep them updated with the latest security solutions, patches, detect malware, as well as cyber attacks. So endpoint security and management are really crucial to any organization. And so with AI, it's become much easier to detect and prevent those types of security breaches that are, device related. Next one, the next one we've talked about is XDR, right? Extended detection response, and security information event management SIEM solutions help security teams uncover cyber threats across the entire enterprise. Now, to do this, both solutions need to rely heavily on AI. So XDR solutions monitor endpoints, emails, identity, cloud apps, and anomalous behavior, as well as surface those incidents to the teams, as well as respond automatically depending on the rules defined by your security operations. Now, those rules could also be surfaced in the AI engine itself, suggesting that the security team deploy certain rules or policies across the enterprise. The SIEM solutions, basically, are aggregating those signals, and then teams are given better visibility into what's happening as well. So some of those use cases, are cloud security, heavily invested in cloud, and we've moved to cloud very rapidly, and so now we're able to manage the infrastructure much more all at once. Not just one cloud provider either. If we're using multi-cloud, we can look at various vendors at once and gain visibility into the risk and vulnerabilities across all your multiple cloud estates, which is great. Because obviously, hopefully, you're using, you might be using services from one cloud to another, which is common, right? Incident investigation response, game changer in terms of sorting through mountains of data to uncover potential cyber attacks. We're able to correlate it all together, right, and saves professionals a lot of time. So let's get into best practices. That's where I really wanted to hone in most of the time here today, but getting kind of towards the end here. It doesn't matter which vendor you choose with AI. You really need to make sure your data is your data. Okay, your data is stored where you choose, and it's always encrypted at rest, as well as your data isn't used for sales or shared with other third parties. Right? That's just ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. We do it every day on our phones. We sign the agreements on our phones. Pretty much all the phone the applications on my phone are probably sharing my data with third parties and so forth. But that can't be normal in our enterprise. We can't operate like that, especially with AI. So just keep that in mind as you move forward and you're working with different AI service providers. You got to make sure we're asking those questions. Make sure the access to systems housing your data is governed by SOC 2 and ISO 27001 and as much compliances that you can possibly find around AI. So the other one is, your data is not used to train the foundational AI models, right? That's another big one. Your data is never shared with OpenAI, right? That's exposing your crown jewels there, and so Azure OpenAI service is stateless, and it doesn't retain or doesn't retain or using any kind of input prompts at all. So your data stays with you. If you're doing any kind of input prompts, Microsoft does not see that. Fine tuning new AI models and leveraging data within the bounds. Those things all need to be part of your contract, right, with those providers. A couple of other important pieces, run queries as its user, so it never is, it doesn't have elevated privileges. Um, you know, make sure it's protected by security controls. Talked a little about those data controls. Make sure your data is labeled, classified. Make sure it's protected in all life cycles. Make sure it stores limited data and the logs and investigation, and encrypts all the data it uses right at rest. And then obviously make sure that you have things are at the compliance, and I already hit on that. All right, so a little bit, few more notes on in terms of best practices using AI in cybersecurity specifically. So on this slide, we present some best practices again. Developing, a strategy is important, right? Integrating AI into your security architecture is important to ensure that AI solutions really work well with each other, as well as your current processes and systems. So choosing the right AI solutions can help solve your organization's biggest security challenges, and really ensure that AI solutions comply with the enterprise compliance and security controls, that your data is not used to train the foundational models. And allowing humans to control and grade the AI output really helps reduce some of that over reliance on AI, and helps build trust, right? Designing interfaces for providing feedback and measuring the quality can also improve those AI models. Those are important to integrate into your strategy and into the tools themselves. Integrate your security tools. So AI for security is most effective when it's able to analyze data across the entire organization. So this is challenging, if your tools are operating in silos, right? So you want to invest in tools that work really well together, and such as integrated XDR and SIEM solutions, which have been mentioned a couple of times. And really allocate time and resources to train your team, so that you can get complete visibility across your digital state. And then continuously test your AI systems. So after implementation, you want to really make sure you're testing the systems regularly. That helps you identify bias, as well as quickly quality issues, right? And then three more that are important here. One is define policies for using generative AI, right? Ensure that employees, partners, as well as anyone else accessing understands your organization policies for using generative AI tools. It's especially important that people don't paste confidential and sensitive data into generative AI prompts, because there's a risk that that data might become public, right? So we got to make sure that everything's being done. If you're going to be leveraging those tools, make sure they're in bounds, and they're in a controlled environment with the right people, with the right data. Manage the data privacy and quality. This I said a couple of times, but AI systems make decisions and provide insights based on the data used, right? And so if there's errors in the data, or if it's corrupted, AI might deliver poor insights and make bad decisions, which is not good, right? So during your planning, you really get to make sure that the process for cleaning up your data, as well as protection and privacy issues and challenges that you might currently have right now are kind of brought to a level of maturity to bring to leverage the new technology. And then I'll say the last one, use AI ethically, right? So a lot of data that's accumulated over the years is inaccurate, it's biased, or it's outdated. So on top of that, AI algorithms and logic aren't always transparent, and so it makes it difficult to know exactly how it generates insights and results. So it's important to really ensure that AI is not the final decision maker in instances, especially where it may treat certain individuals unfairly, because of the bias is the data it's using. So we've got a lot of information around responsible AI. If you Google Microsoft responsible AI, I should say, if you Bing Microsoft responsible AI, there's a lot of great, some of the outlines and some of the initiatives we're doing around that. And that's all about building trust, right? So trust with AI, trust is paramount, especially in security, right? So if you can't trust the data, the insights, you can't really achieve the right outcome. So nothing in this world is perfect, right? So humans have error rates, and so does security copilot, so does AI. So humans, get this, proudly, confidently, astoundingly wrong. So do large language models, but we give them a cool word for it. It's called hallucination. All right. So our approach to put responsible AI at the forefront is really to ensure that users understand that they are learning this technology with us, and we are learning together. So the feedback is a gift, and we want to earn it. So by showing our work and helping users really understand Copilot's reasoning and being transparent about it, that is the way Microsoft's going about it. So that's very important as we progress with this technology. Now, the future of AI and cybersecurity. Well, the role of AI in security is only going to grow, right? Over the coming years, we're seeing security professionals, they can anticipate that AI will get better at detecting cyber threats. There's going to be fewer false positives. Joe hit on quite that whole challenge with false positives and alert fatigue. Security operations teams are going to automate their more tedious tasks, and for example, writing security incident reports and those things. We're already doing that. Organizations are going to be able to use AI to address vulnerabilities and improve security posture more and more. And security professionals will still be in high demand, but people will take more strategic roles, such as addressing more complex security incidents and proactive cyber threat hunting, as well as prompt engineering, and those sorts of expertise are going to be in very high demand. So it's not just the security community that will get more effective with AI either. It's going to be the cyber attackers as well. Unfortunately, they're going to start likely using the technology to go beyond what they're doing now into cracking large amounts of passwords at once. They're going to start creating more sophisticated phishing campaigns. We're already seeing that. You can't really, the AI writes beautifully. I don't know if you played around with some of the AI, generative AI models, that are out there. You can tell it to write you a beautiful poem. You can have it write your emails in Outlook now and review your emails for grammar. So it does write beautiful English. So no longer are we going to look at emails like, oh, that's suspect. It can really do some really amazing jobs in terms of producing those genuine emails, which is not a good thing in terms of recognition, at least from a human side. Developing malware, they're incredibly difficult to detect. They're developing and reverse engineering even some of the security capabilities, which is we got to watch for that as well. So future in AI, cybersecurity, the threat actors are using it as well. So we got to definitely adopt and adjust fire to combat them, right? So that's I tried to cover as much content as I could in 20 minutes. Hopefully I didn't slide everyone to sleep. I'm willing to definitely take some questions. I've got my LinkedIn profile there if people want to contact me direct too. I'm always pretty responsive that way as well. But thank you, Ron.